didn't exist before Mary Jane Trapp ran for the Supreme Court. I'm glad I didn't.
All right, Ms. O'Toole. The question that was suggested by Judge Trapp is, according to an article which appeared on August 5th in TribuneToday.com, the online version of the Warren, Ohio Tribune Chronicle, Kathy Creed, chairwoman of the Trumbull County Republican Party, said that she has gotten calls from several people indicating an interest in replacing U.S. Representative Steve Claude-Jarrett in Congress. Specifically, Ms. Creed stated that she had been contacted by colleague Mary O'Toole, who was on the ballot for a seat on the 11th District Court of Appeals. Ms. O'Toole, are you interested in being an appellate court judge or in being a member of Congress?
The most recent vacancy of Congressman LaTourette has left everybody in the Republican Party scrambling. As I am one of the leading women in the Republican Party, at least in Lake County, I was asked to put my name in. My first and primary focus has always been to be on the Court of Appeals, as was illustrated when I served my entire first term without asking to serve anywhere else. Contrary to my opponent, who served about 24 months of her first 6-year term and opted to go to try to be Ohio Supreme Court Justice. The opportunity to be a congressional candidate is an opportunity to serve. Although it would not be my first passion, sometimes when opportunity knocks, you feel obligated to put your name in. My goal tonight, and as always has been, is to be a Court of Appeals judge. And I am honored that I have been asked by my party to at least be considered. Now, we all know it's a secret process. And we all know from all the media attention that, there's 100 people that are, well, I wouldn't say 100, I think there's safely 20, 25. But I feel integral that it's important that as marriage is between one man and one woman, we also must need some women up there maybe. Our entire congressional delegation has 0 women on the Republican side. And so I thought that that was a pretty good thing to put forward. Is my passion to be in the Court of Appeals? Absolutely. But if people ask you to volunteer, being that I don't have a present job on the Court of Appeals, I would accept if offered. Thank you.
Judge Trapp, since you were specifically mentioned by your opponent in her response, you are entitled to a 45-second rebuttal if you choose.
I'll be very short. My opponent now has, at least on 2 occasions, said that I ran after 24 months. I ran in 2010.
Here's a question from the audience, and I have to admit, I don't know what the substance of it is, so you'll have to enlighten me. The question is for Judge Trapp. Could you explain your decision in Gay versus Mossberg and Sons?
Gay, I remember that case. That's the case of the, just so I have the right case, the case of the young man who unfortunately shot his friend and paralyzed him. Is that it? Is that the case? Somebody just said yes. You don't have to identify yourself. Just say yes. I can't see you. If that's the case, I voted in that case. I was not the writing judge, but I ruled in that case that the gun manufacturer had no liability under a products liability theory. I also voted that under summary judgment, which summary judgment is a way of getting rid of deadwood cases. If there is absolutely no set of facts that could hold someone liable, then you grant summary judgment. Summary judgments should not be granted. They're not little trials. People have a right to have their cases heard in court. And the 3 of us on our court, and I believe it was a 3 three of us voted the same way, decided to send that case back to determine whether the parents, specifically the father, had any liability for violating one of the 10 commandments of gun ownership and liability. I don't know what happened to that case afterwards, but it was not a finding against the father. It was just saying there were sufficient facts in the record that he violated the 10 commandments, and one of the 10 commandments of gun ownership, and left that gun out loaded, and it accidentally went off and paralyzed his son's best friend. So that case may have gone back and been settled or been tried, but that's how we rule.
Ms. O'Toole, do you care to speak to that question?
Well, as I was not on that case,
Okay.
and, I've not read the entire case, so I would be hesitant to question it. Thank you.
In that case, another question from the audience for you. Do you ever rule on a case that upon reflection you regretted, and if so, why?
That's a really good question. I've never really even asked myself that question. There's always cases that you regret. And I have 1,500 rulings out there. Sometimes you wish the result could be better. Being a judge is hard because sometimes you really want to help people. You really want to let your own bias, or you really want to hammer the criminal because they're bad. But you look at the case and you apply the law and you uphold your discipline. And you say, okay, the law doesn't let me go here. So there's been many nights, and my husband, I'm sure, can tell you, when I would come home after ruling on a case, not until it went out, by the way, but sometimes you just want to cry. You just want to help people. The reason why I went into this is because I know I can do better, and I really try to deliver customer service to people, and I really try to rule fairly. And the biggest determiner that people have about judges, most know when they go in, you can win, you can lose, but the big piece there is everybody wants their case to be heard and considered fairly. And so, yeah, there's a lot of cases I wish I could have done something differently on, but I go with all of my decisions as being logical, sound, adhering to the law, and adhering to the Constitution. So professionally, no. Personally, sometimes you just wish you could, write it differently if you could. But you don't let yourself go there, because once you go there, then you basically sold your soul. And I don't think you'd be an effective judge. Thank you.
I thank God every morning when I wake up that some of the people that there haven't been many, but some of the people that have had some evidence thrown out because of my decision upholding the Fourth Amendment and an illegal search of their house, that they don't now appear in a new case on the front of the News Herald. That's your biggest fear. But I didn't become an attorney to be loved. I did not become a judge to be loved. And to do this job, and especially to run for office, you have to have the hide of a rhino. But in the quiet, contemplative seclusion of your own room or your own thoughts or your own prayers, you have to live with the decisions that you make. And if you thought that you've made the wrong one, if you have that chance again to reverse yourself, you need to stand up and say that. We have provisions in the law to do it. I haven't had to do that yet. But like I said, I am willing, if I see a decision that we've made that is either wrong or we need to advance the law further, it's my obligation to put my ego aside and write the right decision at that time. Thank you.
Okay, I think we're on our last question here, and the audience wants to know, how does the Judicial Candidate Rating Coalition measure judges? And I think it's yours first, Judge Travis.
Well, there are a variety of different ways. The Judicial Ratings Coalition, that is a